Prince's last Diddy recording played in trial.
As soon as Prince's voice played in the courtroom, Diddy's expression shifted. His usual calm, collected look broke for a moment as the final recording from the legendary artist echoed through the room, almost like a message from beyond the grave. Whatever was on that recording clearly hit a nerve, shaking one of the most influential names in music. On day 3 of this high-profile trial, the courtroom heard evidence no one expected, and now the ripple effects are spreading fast across Hollywood.
He said he would get physical. The one male guy who did things for Diddy and Cassie said he witnessed him get physical. Don. So again, we talked about how the domestic charges aren't, what he's being, what he's on trial for. But boy, it's stacking up. And I feel that the jury is going to take that into consideration.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your...
Day 3 of the trial started off much like the others. Reporters rushed in early to claim prime seats, celebrities quietly slipped through side entrances, and legal teams got to work arranging their notes with practiced ease. But there was a different energy in the air that morning. The courtroom wasn't just full, it was buzzing. Security was noticeably tighter. Normally, a few guards are expected in a case like this, but today there were twice as many. 4 officers took up positions directly behind Diddy's table, something that hadn't happened on the previous days. Later, a court insider mentioned that specific orders had been given that morning, though no one explained why. Diddy walked in looking calm and confident. Dressed in a sharp navy suit, he nodded to familiar faces in the gallery and even gave a quick smile. His legal team surrounded him like a protective wall, quietly discussing strategy. He looked like someone who believed he had everything under control. What he didn't notice, though, was what was happening at the prosecution's table. 2 tech experts were setting up equipment that hadn't been used earlier in the trial. They were quietly testing cables and talking with the lead prosecutor, who kept glancing over at Diddy with a look that was hard to miss. Something was definitely coming, and it looked like only the prosecution knew what it was. Whispers were already circulating. A reporter later told me people were texting across the room, trying to guess what kind of bombshell the prosecution was about to drop. You could just feel it building. Then the judge came in and handled the usual formalities. But before moving on, he made a rare announcement. I want to remind everyone that no matter what evidence is presented today, I expect complete order in my courtroom. He scanned the room, pausing just long enough to make it clear he meant business. Any disruptions will lead to immediate removal. The prosecution started off in their usual style, methodically walking through prior testimony, connecting pieces of evidence, laying out the timeline again. It was almost routine. Then, out of nowhere, the lead prosecutor stopped mid-sentence. Your Honor, at this time the prosecution would like to present key audio evidence that was recently authenticated by our forensic team. She stepped forward with a small black device in hand. Diddy's legal team jumped up with an objection, arguing that they hadn't been properly informed about this new evidence. A tense sidebar followed. Diddy's attorneys were clearly upset, waving their arms and pressing their case. But after a few minutes, the judge sided with the prosecution. The evidence had been disclosed properly during discovery. He gave the go-ahead. That's when it all changed. The prosecutor turned to the courtroom and said, "What you're about to hear is the final private recording made by Prince Rogers Nelson before he passed away." The entire room went still. Reporters stopped typing. You could literally hear people inhale at the same time. Prince, the icon, the legend, was about to speak from beyond the grave. Diddy's lead lawyer quickly reached out and grabbed his client's arm. The color drained from Diddy's face so fast you could see it happen. His entire legal team pulled in close, whispering urgently as the prosecution hooked up their device to the courtroom's audio system. Right before a single sound played, the atmosphere in the room completely changed. It was like the energy shifted all at once. Diddy's legal team could sense that something serious, something potentially damaging was about to hit. And by the look of sudden panic in Diddy's eyes, it was clear he felt it too.
I'm just trying to listen. I mean, it's a lot of this stuff that I've heard and seen already. I'm really trying to connect the dots here and think like, damn, what if Prince was letting Diddy, like what if he caught wind of some, I'll just say allegedly, stuff that Diddy might have been doing that seems to be like, I ain't talking about consensual things, I'm talking about illegal things or whatever. But I'm just like, would Diddy be that dumb to like not think that Prince, this celebrity, has cameras in his house as well? So I'm just trying to think, like, because if Prince has cameras and he's recording stuff, you know, to get some dirt on Diddy, I don't know. I feel like Diddy, with all his cameras that he allegedly had, or no, they actually found cameras.
Problems?
That I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't abuse alcohol. I didn't know of him abusing drugs. He worked out, you know, so, you know, that also really concerned me, because it made me think that, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young?
One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent.
He would do a lot of foul shit. Like, behind the scenes, he would do some foul shit. Like,
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
Puffy was playing with your booty in Miami.
The second Diddy saw 50 Cent walk into that courtroom, his reaction said it all. His eyes got wide, his jaw tightened, and you could see his hands trembling under the table. This wasn't the calm, in-control music mogul we've known for years. By the third day of the trial, witnesses said Diddy had completely lost his cool, especially after 50 Cent openly voiced his support for Cassie. What happened next took everyone in the courtroom by surprise, and it might just change the entire direction of this case.
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect
No.
your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said,
Let me read it, Fifth.
oh my God.
Sorry, I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner thieves in theaters, Jay.
So those things, he doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says something fabulous and he goes, yo, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party. What is he talking about? And that's just going off. Then when people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. Like, I get uncomfortable. Like, he said something to me one time, a long time ago, at Chris Lighty's wedding. He told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's still what a guy says to a girl.
Did he do it, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day?
I'm just not with all that flicky shit. Like, all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just...
For 3 decades, Sean Diddy Combs built his career around maintaining a polished image. We've seen him glide down red carpets with a flawless smile, handle tough interviews like a pro, and come out of public scandals looking completely unbothered. His brand was all about being the cool, collected music mogul who never cracked under pressure. Remember that 2017 interview where a reporter asked about rumors of hush money paid to former employees? Diddy just smiled, straightened his suit, and smoothly redirected the conversation, didn't even flinch. Or the time his restaurant business shut down in 2012. He still showed up to the closing night party acting like it had all gone according to plan. That's Diddy's signature move. Never let anyone see you sweat. Behind the scenes though, keeping that image together took serious effort. Sources close to Diddy say he had a team of 12 people dedicated to managing how he looked in public, from carefully crafted responses to practicing how to hold his facial expressions. A former assistant even told me he'd rehearse interview answers in the mirror for hours before going on TV. He also had a media trainer on standby who ran him through surprise drills to make sure he could stay calm no matter what was thrown at him. But behind the designer shades, people who used to work with him have said there was another side to Diddy. There were 2 versions of him. One former Bad Boy Records staffer told me off the record. There was the smooth, polished guy everyone saw, and then the one who'd lose it and throw phones when things didn't go his way. These stories never gained traction because no one with real influence ever spoke up. Then, just days before the trial started, his carefully controlled image image began to slip. Photographers caught him snapping at a fan asking for a selfie outside his lawyer's office. Not long after, at a pre-trial press conference, he gripped the podium so tightly his knuckles turned white. Small details maybe, but for someone who's spent millions managing his public persona, they stood out. PR crisis manager Tanya Rodriguez explained to me that public figures like Diddy build up these flawless images like fortress walls. But when the pressure gets high enough, those walls can start to crack, and when they do, it all comes crashing down fast. That's exactly what played out on day 3 of the trial. Multiple people inside the courtroom said the Diddy everyone knew completely unraveled. Court reporter Marcus Jenkins described him as visibly shaking when certain pieces of evidence were shown.
Diddy's ex wrapped up her testimony today after 4 grueling days on the stand.
She might have a lawsuit too.
Singer Dawn Richard testifies that Sean Diddy Combs hit Cassie Ventura with a skillet full of eggs.
You got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do something.
What does it take to bring a courtroom to complete silence? Dawn Richard's account of the abuse Cassie allegedly faced at the hands of Diddy left the room stunned. Get ready for shocking details that uncovered a reality few could have imagined.
Diddy's ex wrapped up her testimony today after 4 grueling days on the stand. The defense hit her hard during cross-examination, asking her about a stint in rehab for PTSD, a rape allegation, and asking her to read explicit text messages from over the past 15 years.
Richard accused Combs of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and a hostile work environment by being exposed to sex trafficking and sex acts. She also alleged that she was a victim of false imprisonment. In her suit, Richard stated she was seeking compensatory and punitive damages, as well as other costs for post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and emotional suffering, and financial losses she suffered as a result of Combs' alleged behavior. Combs has denied her allegations. His lawyer told E! News in September, Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. Richard's testimony in Combs' ongoing trial comes 8 months after she accused the rapper in a lawsuit of subjecting her to years of inhumane working conditions, which included groping, assault, and false imprisonment. The lawsuit, filed in September, obtained by E! News, stated, Mr. Combs frequently held meetings with Ms. Richard wearing only his underwear, despite Ms. Richard's protests and repeated requests for him to put on clothing. In her filing, the 41-year-old also alleged that Combs ordered her to strip down to her underwear, made demeaning remarks about her body, and entered her dressing room unannounced while she was unclothed, and touched her without her permission under the guise of showing the stylist what.
Dawn Richard's testimony hit the courtroom like a shockwave. As a former member of Danity Kane, the girl group formed under Diddy's guidance, she wasn't just another former collaborator. She had a front row seat to the inner workings of his world, which made her statement one of the most crucial moments in the first week of the trial. People expected her to share a few insights, but no one was ready for the jaw-dropping details she revealed. The entire courtroom froze. So what did Dawn actually say about the alleged abuse Cassie endured? Her connection to both Diddy and Cassie went far beyond music. Working with Diddy on a daily basis meant she interacted not only with him, but also with the people around him. And with Cassie being his longtime girlfriend, it was easy for the outside world to see their relationship as glamorous. But Dawn's testimony pulled back the curtain, exposing a much darker reality behind the scenes. Her words added weight to the quiet rumors that had surrounded Diddy and Cassie for years. When she finally took the stand, the energy in the room shifted instantly. Dawn described intense moments where she allegedly witnessed Diddy lose his temper, so intense that people around him were constantly on edge. According to her, Cassie often ended up at the receiving end of his rage. Dawn made it clear that she wasn't repeating gossip. These were things she said she personally saw. She had been there, watching it unfold. One moment in particular left the entire room silent. Without quoting anyone directly, Dawn described a fight where Diddy reportedly screamed at Cassie with such force that her body language showed just how deeply it affected her. It wasn't just the shouting, it was the threatening tone, and how Diddy allegedly twisted every situation to make Cassie feel like she had no control and couldn't stand up for herself. That moment stuck with Dawn, and she shared that it wasn't a one-time thing. There were several occasions where Cassie seemed completely trapped under Diddy's control. But what really gave her words power was the way she delivered them. Witnesses said her voice carried a mix of anger and sadness, like she had been holding it all in for years, finally ready to speak her truth. Legal experts present in the courtroom said testimonies like Dawn's can carry serious weight during a trial. Hearing general accusations is one thing, but when someone shares specific events they say they personally witnessed, it hits differently. For the jury, that kind of account brings the claims to life in a way that's hard to dismiss. And then there was Diddy's reaction, something reporters didn't miss. As Dawn spoke, his body language reportedly shifted. He looked tense, maybe even caught off guard by how direct she was being. According to those watching, he fidgeted in his seat, his face grew more serious, and at one point he leaned in to speak with his lawyers. He didn't speak out or interrupt, but it was obvious he wasn't comfortable with the way Dawn was portraying him, and it makes sense why. Her words weren't just contradicting his polished public image, they were giving serious support to Cassie's allegations. But what really seemed to hit both the jury and the people following the trial from the outside was one line Dawn reportedly said, that Cassie spent most of her time just trying to survive. Those 5 words landed hard. They summed up years of alleged emotional and physical abuse in a way that felt deeply personal and real. It wasn't just about the arguments or control anymore. It painted a picture of someone who was living in constant fear, cut off, and stuck in a situation with no clear escape. Dawn's testimony wasn't just another part of the case. It became a major turning point. It added serious momentum to the narrative being built by the prosecution, and it's something the defense is gonna have a hard time pushing back on. As the first week of the trial wrapped up, her words still lingered. This wasn't just about her sharing what she remembered. It was about finally shining a light on something that had stayed hidden for way too long. And with more people expected to testify soon, especially those who were also close to Cassie and Diddy, the courtroom is preparing for even more powerful revelations.